David Serland made a post talking about some changes that we can expect to see coming to the game and things they're looking into fixing inside of Battlefield 6. The things that are going to be fixed sooner rather than later, hopefully, are things like the ladder glitch, the recon drone and sledgehammer exploit, the insta-painted kills on the IFV, your air radar not working correctly, the weapon scope visual bug, and the weird jumping, bouncing in the air bug that's sometimes causes you to just get killed instantly when you hit the ground. Sometimes you'll bounce up in the air in the middle of a gunfight, you get killed, or you kill the enemy, and it's a very weird interaction. This was actually something that was supposed to have been fixed in Season 1, and it has not been fixed yet, so hopefully they get that worked out as well. They're also looking at things like footstep and audio issues in RedSec, still looking at maybe adjusting rush and breakthrough layouts. Weapon recoil concerns is something he says they're also looking into maybe making some changes to. We do know they're going to make some more adjustments to how the aim assist works for controller players on console. This is something that I know a lot of people have heard and they kind of were worried about, that they're going to completely get rid of aim assist for console players. I'm a console player myself, but that's not the case. They're talking about going back to what you experienced in the beta. And I felt like the aiming on controller in the beta was a lot better than it is right now. Aiming's in a weird spot. It felt pretty good when the game came out. They made some changes, and of course I had to make an updated controller settings video because of those changes. Now I'll probably have to make another one, because if they actually do these fixes with weapon recoil and actually go in and change the way the aim assist works on console, that's going to probably have to make us change and adjust our settings as well. But if it's what they're talking about doing and going back to what the settings were like and what the game felt like during the beta, I think we'll be in a better place on console anyway, because the aim assist during the beta was a lot better. It wasn't as sticky. It wasn't as weird acting. It didn't feel like you were getting pushed off targets. It felt like it was in a lot better place than it is right now in the game currently. They're also looking at Portal servers running at 60 hertz. He says this will require all previous XP focus setups with bots to get cleaned out, and they'll be running new setups. So that's probably something they're going to do eventually. Also, regions with small to low population, apparently they're running a test in smaller regions with some official servers running all maps and modes and setups. They are aware that players need persistent servers. However, the lack of official DIE servers is still present, and they have not really come up with a solution for that just yet. And I know this has been a big complaint in the community, that they feel like even though they have crossplay on, if you live in a smaller region, that a lot of the games you're getting in is just populated with the bots. And then I've seen people in North America as well say that they have the same issue. I will say I've had this issue as of the last week or so, which has been strange. I can play with crossplay on and get thrown into a breakthrough match, for example, and it will fill up fairly quickly, about halfway, and then it'll say it's filling with bots for whatever reason. And I'm playing, at a normal time here in the United States in the evenings when everyone's home from work. And then the very next game, the game will fill up automatically with all players. But the issue I've been having is if it ever has a bot in it, it never really seems to find real players to put into that spot. So if there's, let's say, 6 bots on each team, those 6 stay in on each team the entire time. It never backfills with new players once they load in, like they never load into that game. It's like it's completely just done away with. It's like someone can't or find that match that I'm in, if that makes sense. It's just kind of a strange issue, and I'm assuming it is a bug. But the problem with players having this problem that live in smaller locations or smaller populations, this is really where they need to look at how they're doing this idea of matchmaking now. I feel like the matchmaking is great in the way of how quickly it gets you in and out of games, but not having persistent servers. So when you load in from one game to the next, the same player base is there. If they didn't like the match, they can leave. If they like the match, they can stay. It may readjust, the players and what team they're on. If it was lopsided the last game, something like that, that is something they really need to fix. It's something they need to, kind of work on. And I'm not sure if the speed that it finds game to game is one reason these problems are happening. I'm not sure if that could be something to do with it as well, because sometimes it does find a game very, very quickly. You're not waiting like 10 or 15 seconds, but if you're only waiting 10 or 15 seconds to get thrown into a lobby that's full of bots or half bots, or you're having to still wait for players to join, it's really not being very helpful to me if it's finding a game quickly. So I know everybody wants a server browser. I don't know if we'll ever get that. I wish they would just go back to at least the Battlefield 5 way, where you had the server browser, or you had the find a game now option, where you can just click a button, find a game now, it would throw you in one, or you could actually go into the server browser and look for a game that way. I think that would help a lot with some of the issues players are having as well with connection problems. There's been a lot of talk of connection problems lately. People get into a game, you see all the stuff pop up in the top corner saying you have a connection issue to that game, high ping, packet loss, whatever. That has always been an issue in Battlefield. Sometimes, from my years and years of playing the game, I have learned that that is not always the case. I can have a game where that stuff's popping up and it plays perfectly fine. And then on the other hand, you can have a game where it's actually telling the truth and it's very laggy, a big problem, a big issue, even though you shouldn't have a problem with that server you're in. So hopefully they will work on that stuff as well. He did say that they're looking at more large sandbox map types as well, but also fixing issues on the existing maps. He did not state if we're going to get any brand new maps anytime soon that are a lot bigger than what we have right now. I'm assuming that's something that's probably going to come later down the road. I'm hoping they're going to do kind of what they've done with past Battlefield titles. So if we look at Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, we used to have, what was it, Battlefield Premium or whatever, where you got all the map packs and everything kind of within that price. I'm hoping they start to do that. At some point, they have several updates where they bring new maps in, and they're all really large maps. For all the players out there that love the big, big maps with vehicles and stuff like that, that's fine. But then also have some packs that have more infantry-based maps. That way you can kind of make the community happy all the way around. I don't know how everyone would feel nowadays about playing maps like I would think of in Battlefield 2. Those maps were huge. Some of those maps were enormous. Some of the maps in Battlefield 3 and 4 were enormous. Even 2042 had some really, really big maps. But those were designed for more than 64 on 64, as we know when the game first came out. Or 32 on 32, excuse me. They were designed for 64 players versus 64 players, not 32 players versus 32 players like we have in Battlefield 6. So I think it's going to be kind of a fine line there. A lot of players like the faster paced, getting into combat a little bit quicker, where some players like the slower paced combat. I don't know exactly what they're going to do here. I don't know if maps you had that were really, really large from like Battlefield 2 would make the majority of the community happy, or if it's going to only make a portion of the community happy. I've played all the Battlefield titles, and I will say some of the maps, if you were not a fan of vehicles, was not really fun for infantry players. And then some of the maps were great for infantry and vehicles. So, like I said, it's kind of a fine line they're having to work with here, where they're having to give players larger maps, but at the same time make the action, easy to get to so players don't get bored. I will be curious to see what kind of maps they do later down the road. I think the next map we have coming up, of course, in Season 1, looks like a really fun one there on the golf course. I think that's going to be one that the community really enjoys from everything that I've heard so far about the map. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about these changes. Do you think that all this that David Serland's talking about will improve the game, or do you think there's some things he still has left out here? Leave me a comment with your thoughts. If you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.